Hey, this is Erik with the Real Estate Pessimist podcast, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the truth about real estate investing. And you know what the truth is? You need community. It is so important to your growth as a real estate investor and as a person. So Kristi, my co-host, and I are going to talk about community. Big community, small community, paid, free. You need community more than you know. Please join us on the next Real Estate Pessimist podcast, where we talk about community.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pessimist podcast, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the truth about real estate investing. I'm Kristi Candle, one of your co-hosts. I'm a developer, investor, and I also teach locals how to become developers in their own backyard. And I'm joined with my co-host, Erik Stenbakken.
Hey, good morning. It's still morning here where I am anyways. This is a good one. And I have good news and bad news for you as listeners. If you like the Real Estate Pessimist podcast because you love the train wrecks that we sometimes bring, a little bit of bad news because this podcast is mostly good stuff. There's ways it can go wrong, but this is one that Kristi and I feel so strongly about. And it is community. And boy, there's just not a lot of downside to community. I suppose you could do it wrong. People can burn water, but community, if done well, is amazing. It's incredible. That is why, in fact, this podcast exists. This podcast existed because of community. Now, if you can see my shirt just a little bit, I'm repping for Better Life Tribe.
I didn't even notice that before.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
freaking
When I lean
hilarious.
back, you see it, right? But I was in the Better Life Tribe since literally the minute it was announced. I was in. Before that call, that initial call was ended, I had found their website and I had signed up and I was in because I was ready for community. So let's talk about community. Kristi, before we got going, she was talking about volleyball. And I was like, volleyball is a sport, but is it? Is it more than a sport?
It is so much more than a sport. And I jokingly, but seriously tell people volleyball is how I make my friends in the places I move to. When I moved from Ohio to Florida the first time, it was beach volleyball that got me my amazing network of friends. When I moved to Southern California, it was beach volleyball that got me my non-work friends. And same thing with Tahoe and now being back in Southwest Florida. So interestingly enough, a couple days ago, we have our set times. We'll play Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And a couple of the people are like, hey, this new league started in Naples. They're like, should we maybe do that? Because we've been talking and we've been more intentional on community. And we're like, why not? Like we're in a little bit of a rut in a rhythm right now. And I literally have a reminder that comes up and says, if you're feeling too comfortable, like maybe you should change something. Like it pops up once a month. And so when they said the league, we're like, yeah, because we're going to go meet other cool people who enjoy volleyball and they're outside of our circle. And who knows, maybe they could be friends. So
we're going to talk about community as it relates to real estate. I've played volleyball, but don't know enough to take it there. And that's not why you tuned in anyways. But community is so super important. In fact, just before we sat down here to record this, by the way, we outline this stuff. We try to plan our podcasts so that they are meaningful and useful to you. And we have our outlines and we deviate from that a little bit as we get going. But one of the things that struck me after the outline was together was like, wait, community, I think, is one of the key elements in blue zone success. Yeah. Now, if you're not familiar with blue zones are the areas in the world where people have a kind of a way of living and they live longer. Not just do they live longer, strapped to some bed in a nursing home, they live long, vibrant lives. And it's like, okay, what is that? There's a lot of elements that go into that, but one of them is community. And it is exclusive. That's separated out from faith community. Faith community is one of them, but community is its own thing. It's a big deal. It's a real deal. And literally, it's an ingredient in living a long, happy life. So I'm sure now you want to be like, oh, okay, I'm in. So how does it help me with real estate? Let's talk about why, Kristi, why does real estate, you're not buying, unless you're in part of some sort of syndication, you're not buying a property in community. You just buy it as an individual, maybe as a partner. Why is community important?
So that every time you hit a roadblock, an obstacle, a challenge, you go, oh, it's not just me. Other people have dealt with it. Maybe I can take from their lessons learned, or maybe I just don't feel so alone in the issue that I'm dealing with.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship, by the way, folks, if you're feeling a little lonely as an entrepreneur, that's normal. Okay. You have already left the curve. All right. You are off on one end of the curve and you're out there. And the further out there and the more successful you get, the more lonely it gets. That's just an unanticipated side effect of being in business for yourself and then being successful, because you can find, I used to go to trade meetups in a past profession, and you could get together with people and it was a bellyache fest. People get together and just bitch and moan and all kinds of stuff. You can find that. Okay. But here's the thing that I noticed in that space years ago is that the people who were killing it weren't at those meetings complaining. Yep. So you can find community, and you can find community that's just going to be, oh, this is so hard. This sucks. Oh, can you believe that? You'll find it if that's what you're looking for. But I have good news for you. There's also awesome communities if you want to find those. So let's break it down. There's, as we look at community, like what do we even mean? Well, that's a good question. And generally speaking, not generally, specifically speaking, as we talk about that here right now, is it is a group of people who are headed in the same direction you are. Now, you can make that super, super narrow. In real estate, you can be real estate investing as a general bucket. You can have beginner real estate investors, advanced real estate investors in self-storage, beginner real estate investors in syndication, single family homes, whatever. You can find all those things. The two main categories of community are paid and free. We're going to put it into those two columns because you can find most of the elements that we want to talk about in both types of communities, but they do have differences. Kristi, why don't you take us into the paid communities and why this is? Why is it a thing?
So to me, the paid communities are there. If there is some friction or some barrier, then it's making sure that the people who are agreeing to join are being intentional about it to some extent, because most people aren't just going to try and throw away money. So to me, the paid communities are, I'm picking a specific niche, I'm picking a specific area that I am trying to find other like-minded people. So for me, I've joined different groups. Like for entrepreneurship, I joined Strategic Coach, and that is an entrepreneurial coaching program that teaches you how to be a better owner, a better entrepreneur, a better leader, a better business owner. And then there's been other groups like the shirt you're repping, where it was, hey, we're real estate investors, we're business owners, but we also want more than just the business part of it. We want a better life. And that's why we joined that community. And we're part of it because we're like, life is more than just work. Life is about being more well-rounded and the whole part of who we are as humans. So to me, paid communities are a great way to make sure that you're putting yourself in a room with people that give you a better shot of having a deeper connection and rowing in the same direction, I guess.
Yeah. So what have you found? Because I've been part of paid communities several times and free communities. What's different about a paid community? If somebody hasn't tried one before, they're like, oh yeah. And I know this podcast is going to end up join the Real Estate Pessimist community. It's only this much per month. No, actually, there's not going to be a pitch like that for you to join a community. For us, the podcast is our community. So when you do a paid community, though, why is there benefit to that? Why do people pay for it? Or are they just all suckers and they all get out as fast as they can?
You're probably joining and paying for the person who's leading it, because they are, whether they're a couple steps in front of you or a really long way in front of you, you're paying for their experience, their expertise, their knowledge. Because my uncle taught me early on, he's like, dude, don't go make the same mistakes I did. Learn from me, be Kristi 2.0, and you can skip all this and you'll be so much further ahead. So for me, it's been why reinvent the wheel and why go through the same lessons myself when I can just take the shortcut, the legal, ethical shortcut by taking your lessons learned, and I can get even further. Hey, can we talk business for a second? If you've been flipping houses or running short-term rentals, you already know how to hustle. You know how to spot opportunity, add value, and make a property work harder. But if we're being honest, flipping gets exhausting, and short-term rentals are definitely not passive. So what's next? For a lot of people I work with, the answer is real estate development. I'm talking about turning a vacant lot into a quadplex, or bringing a rundown building back to life as a mixed-use space. I'm Kristi Candle, and I've been a real estate developer my entire career. And now I host the Local Real Estate Developer podcast to help locals like you do the same. We pull back the curtain and show you what it takes to go from flipper or host to local developer. If you're ready to build something bigger, this podcast is for you. Check out the Local Real Estate Developer podcast on all platforms.
Yeah, Kristi makes a great point here, is that mentorship and learning from other people, whether we call it mentorship or community or whatever we want to call it, is learning from other people is, in my opinion, the only legitimate shortcut to success. And it is a shortcut. It really is. It can shave off years and dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in mistakes that you don't make, right? So people may think, oh, well, they made $1,000 over here and they made $1,000 over here. Same thing. Well, yeah, but if person number one lost $2,000 before they made their money, actually, they're not in the same place. And community is one of those things. The leader you mentioned is one of the reasons that you pay, because that takes time. And if these people have enough street cred to gather a community, they've probably done some things and their time is worth money. It's just how it is. I think one of the things that makes a paid community so much different is that these are people who want to be in the community. Now you might think, like, what? I mean, why would somebody be part of a community if they didn't want to be a community? So, okay, I don't know. I don't have the answer for that, but I'm part of a lot of short-term rental groups. And one of them is a free Facebook group, one of many. And you would be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't if you know human nature. There are people who shadow this group, who join the group, who hate STRs. And all they do is jump in, just like, I would never stay in a vacation rental. I like hotels. And I'm thinking, why are you here? Right? And you just don't get that in a paid group, because nobody who has that kind of attitude is going to pay even 10 cents to get in the room to participate with other people.
So you're saying that paid communities get rid of trolls?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. They do, because the thing is, if somebody pays money to be in there, you'll find, it's rare, but you'll find some are in there just to spam, right? They're in there just to try to work the network and get the list, to sell their stuff. You'll find some of that, but not so much, right? And that is just, it's a hurdle. It's a little bit of a hurdle that people won't go past. And the reason that this is really important is it changes the culture of the group. See, if the people in there say, I want to achieve, I don't care what the asset class is, let's just pick mobile home parks. If they say, I want to achieve success in mobile home parks, and they're paying, I'm going to make this up, $300 a month, and they're in this group, they're not in there to be trolls. They're in there to learn. The money is burning, right? They're just, it's going out the door. And so it's motivational to people to, like, hey, let's get to this. And it is so dramatic. I can't even tell you how dramatic it is to get into a group that pays a little bit of something to be there. Now, I haven't found that it dramatically changes the mindset based on how much somebody pays. I've been in two communities simultaneously. One was 10 times the cost of the other. I didn't see a significant difference in the motivation of the people that were in one group versus the other. I was a little bit more hype and fluff on the higher paid one. But as far as value to the members, personally, I didn't see it. But every group, every community has a style. You know, I've been to some conferences and so on like this, and it's funny. Some people show up to strut. They are there to tell everyone else how many doors they have. Yeah, I went to one. So in a sense, I guess, summits and stuff like this could be called a community, but it's such a short-term thing that you don't really make the same bonds that you make in an ongoing regular community. And that's what Kristi and I are talking about. We're not talking about a weekend, zero to hero workshop type thing. We're talking about a community that you're part of on a regular basis. Now, you went to one, Kristi, recently. It was outside real estate specifically. What kind of benefits did you see in that? Because it's a community too. It's not just a workshop. It's a community. What are you getting from it?
Yeah, I went to, actually, Cody Sanchez started doing a growth accelerator. So she has her whole teaching people how to even buy a business, but then it's, okay, once you have the business, how do you scale and grow it? And for me, I'm a huge business nerd. My businesses happen to be around real estate, but just going and being in the same room with people who are motivated, who are actively working and pursuing their craft and their vision and bringing it to life. The energy that was in the room was incredible. And we hear so many times when we go to these things, people go, yeah, the content will be great. And the content was great, but the value is in the people you're going to meet, the interactions that you have. I mean, there was a part of me that had, kind of fallen asleep. Life got in the way for the past 3 years, and I came back from that weekend, and it's like I came back to life in an even better sense, and I was re-inspired and reinvigorated in a way that I hadn't been in a long time. And you get that from the people and the energy and the passing around of ideas. We were in all sorts of different industries and business, but it's the same reason I love to travel the world is you get to hear different perspectives and ideas, and you can then correlate that to like, wait, I could totally use that in this realm. And then you're off to the races again. And through that, I mean, I met a handful of people that I'm still talking to. And when I do my notorious cross-country trips to get back to Tahoe, I will be swinging by their neck of the woods and we'll be hanging out. So it gives you community in so many different ways, but also as an entrepreneur, and like we talked about with business owners, like we're part of the 5%, and it's lonely as a business owner. And we talk to our friends who aren't business owners and their eyes glaze over and they're just like, wait, what are the Kardashians doing? Let's talk about that. So it's awesome to be able to be a business nerd and talk to other people who get lit up by talking about business things.
That's right. Inspiration, I think, is one of the key reasons to join a community, and the paid community has those benefits of the leadership and the type of people who join a thing like this. And so, by the way, none of these are affiliate links. The stuff that we're talking about, we don't get anything from any of this stuff. We don't have a pony in that race at all. But we believe that community is important and that you pick it. Inspiration is huge. It cannot be undervalued. When you see somebody else in community doing something, maybe it's a huge deal. Like, oh yeah, I put this thing together and bought it, and here's what's going on. And if that hasn't crossed your mind as a possibility, and you see someone doing it, I mean, can you imagine back in the day, people in the United States who saw an airplane for the first time flying, right? They're like, wait a minute, what? You can do that? Like that holds people? That's incredible. And then the next thought is, well, for entrepreneurs, not for everybody else, the 95% is probably thinking, that's scary, that's dangerous, that's expensive, that'll never work. And then there's a few percent who's like, I want to do that. How can I do that? Right? Because they see that it can be done. And when you see somebody doing things that you didn't even know existed, or you thought existed, but you couldn't do, or nobody else could do, oh, that is powerful. One of the other things that community does is it normalizes attitudes. It normalizes behavior. It normalizes action. And that cannot be understated. The people have said, and it's cliche, and it's not true because it's cliche because it's true, is that you are the people, the sum of the, 6, 5, 10, whatever people that you hang around with the most. And that can be in community intentional, or it can be accidental. I mean, studies have shown if you have one worker that's average sitting by a worker that's good, the average worker doesn't really get worse, but they don't necessarily get a lot. They get a little bit better. But if you put an average worker by a bad worker, the average worker goes way down. All right. So it is definitely to your advantage to surround yourself with the people who are doing the best. And you may say, well, that's not very nice. What about your friends that suck? Well, that's too bad. You could still go fishing, have a drink with them, do whatever you want to do. But if you're trying to grow a business, you have to, and I will say that as an imperative, you have to surround yourself with, not exclusively, right? You can have friends that don't do real estate or friends who don't want, this isn't Amway, okay? You can have other friends, but you have to have a posse with you that you pick on purpose. Yeah, pick your posse on purpose. How about that? That's pretty awesome. Because they will set your standards for success. Yes. Because when you get together, we're both Kristi and I are in not just communities, but smaller communities that are accountability groups, where we have people who know they've got our number on speed dial. And if I say, oh, I am going to build a set of SOPs for my properties by this date or this time, they will ask me, they will hold me accountable. Hey, how's that going? It's like, okay. And they're not going to take excuses because they're getting stuff done. And I know, okay, they can get it done. I can get it done. And it spurs me to action. Yep. Right. So when you look around and everybody else is moving, We've talked about this on past podcasts. I went on a ski trip, backcountry ski trip, backpacking uphill in the winter here in Colorado. And two of the ladies who were there one of them had just retired as a kindergarten teacher. And so what she did for her retirement was run the Tokyo Marathon, the full thing, right? And the other woman is actually even older than her, but has the US speed record for marathons in her age group. When you hang around people like that, it normalizes. No, I'm not going to sit on the couch and watch reruns of Wheel of Fortune, until my legs fall off. That's not how I want to live. So you surround yourself with people who normalize stuff. Like, I've got a friend of mine, he's probably 10 years my senior. He's regularly out kite surfing. Okay. And I just go, okay, that's normal, I guess. That's just what we do. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Are there any other benefits specifically to the paid communities before we go on to the free circles and some of their pros and cons? I am co-host of this podcast because education is my calling. That's also why I developed a course on short-term rentals. It's called STR in an Hour, and it's perfect for busy professionals. It's a lot of content packed into 1 hour. No fluff, no upsell. It's an overview of STRs from A to Z. Everything from how to choose a property to how to estimate income and expenses. It's literally the best and most content I could pack into 59 minutes. With over 4,000 nightly stays in my own STRs, I've learned important lessons, and I want to share them with you. Link with more information in the show notes.
I think we hit on a lot of the key points of that. Yeah. I'm a big fan of paid communities because of the added accountability that it puts in. If I'm doing something for free, I might just I don't want to do this, or it doesn't quite line up. But if I'm paying to be somewhere, even if it's like $10 a month, it's just like, I paid to be here, I'm going to show up.
That's right. And some of the real growth methods that I have used and now use on a regular basis were adopted as part of a paid community. And the reason I did the exercises that they said to do, which I thought were dumb exercises, like, oh, I'm not going to do that. That's just so lame. But the reason that I did them was because I paid for them. And I thought, well, I paid for this. If I paid for advice, but I won't do the paid advice, then who's the moron here? That's me. And so I might as well try it. If I don't like it, I could just not keep doing it, right? But I tried it. I was like, oh, wait a minute, there's something to this. And so paid communities do have that. And my goodness, you'd think that we could just tell our brain, it's free. Go ahead and do the advice that you're getting for free. But we don't, right? But when we're paying for it, we put different emphasis on it. We say, well, I paid for this. And so, gosh darn it, I'm good. It's like the dad at the restaurant eating his kids' fries. It's like, I'm not letting those things go to waste. I paid for that. I don't think that's a great idea necessarily. But when you pay for a community, whatever it is, it motivates you to do the work. Now, let's go into and talk about free communities, some of the pros and some of the cons of that. What's first up for you, Kristi?
I think free communities are a good way to test something out to see, is my curiosity something I actually want to put my time and effort into before going all in. So I do like that you can just kind of dabble and go, okay, is this something I truly want to spend more time on? That would be one of the things for me.
Yeah. I think that paid communities and free communities, one of the ways they differ is that most of the other people in a free community are doing the same thing. They're kind of dabbling. They're putting their toes in. And so if you go to a local real estate meetup and you're kind of like, I don't really know what this is about. I'm just kind of here to learn from everybody else. Good news, bad news is that there's a lot of other people who are doing the same thing. I don't really know what this is about. I'm here to meet people. And you can just run into a lot of people who are just trying to run into other people. And nobody really knows what's going on. Now, I exaggerate a little bit. I've been to a few, but that's not too much of a stretch.
No, it's not. I remember texting you after when I was up in the St. Pete area up near Tampa, and I was like, oh, so I went to this meetup. This one had structure and was really well laid out. This one, everyone was kind of wandering around just like, do. And it's like, oh, interesting. Okay.
So there is that difference. Now you can be the mentor. You can help people out. You can make good connections. You can find people who will be of value to you, that you can help add value to their lives in a situation like that, where it's a meetup where people are not paying, right? You'll find much more of a mix of people in a group like that. And a lot of folks will come just once and then they're done. And other folks are regular And I've heard people say they've gotten some incredible leads from free meetups. They just say, "Hey, this is who I am and what I do." Which I want to put a little pin in this one, is you have to tell people what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care if it's a free community or a paid community. You have to tell people, "Hey, I'm here to look for self-storage units and to learn how to do this. Anybody else?" And you have got to break the ice that way. If you don't,
Yes.
here's the deal: free or paid, that's on you. If nobody knows that you're there to learn about self-storage, running a syndication, single-family homes, STRs, multifamily, whatever, if they don't know that's what you're there for, you will not connect with the right people. And I'm just going to say this. Somebody taught me this years and years ago in sales, and it was valuable to me, is that the faster you get to know, that actually is to your advantage. So if you're talking to somebody like, "Hey, I'm into short-term rentals. How about you?" No, I'm into just flipping land. "Hey, cool. Well, it's good to meet you. Do you know anybody who's into short-term rentals?" "Oh, I think that lady over there, I think she does some of that stuff." "Cool. Hey, it's been nice to meet you." Go ahead, move, because the faster you move on to the right person, that's where your value is going to be, right? Which is related to this point that I want to make about community. It's on you. The community is on you. There is such a thing as just some communities that are better put together than others. That's a thing, right? But really, it's on you to get the value out of it. If you expect it just to write a check, swipe the credit card, lay back and say, like, "Just lay it on me, just put all the stuff on me now, I'm ready to just," that's not how it works. There's a saying that no one else can do your push-ups for you. You can't. It's just like, that's how it works. You have to do the work yourself if you expect to see the results. And there's no substitute for that. So if you want to go meet people, you want to get things done, you want to make connections, you want to make this community valuable, you have to do it. And that is essentially how Kristi and I met in the tribe, is because both of us came in with that attitude. It was slightly different things that we did. I headed up a reading group. It's now the Growth and Mindset Reading Group, and anyone can join. You don't have to be in a tribe to do it. But I was regularly posting that and commenting on people's posts. And Kristi, her name was showing up pretty regularly, legitimately answering people's questions. She wasn't pitching herself. She was taking her experience and sharing with other people. That's noted. Other people say, "Oh, yeah, that Kristi Candle, she's really helpful for people." So how did that circle back to you, Kristi? Because I know it did. You're giving, but also it ended up coming back in receiving too.
I'm not sure if you're thinking of a very a specific
No specific
one,
thing, just a general.
But yeah, it just, by going in, and it was being intentional, and it was, hey, I know that so many other people have helped me along my journey. If I can just go into this and I can help someone else on theirs, like that's a win to me, because when you see someone's eyes light up and they go, "Oh, wait, like, okay, cool. Like, now I know what to do. Now I know the path forward." That in itself is rewarding. But then what it does is, when people do see you doing that, it builds so many more genuine, deep relationships with people within the tribe, within the community, that I still talk to. And like, 20 might not be an exaggeration, if not more, of people that I met when I was in the Better Life Tribe that I stay in contact with on a pretty regular basis. And just awesome people who were doing their own things. And for me, it's all about relationships, connection, community, collaborations. And what better way to do it than if you do share what you have, then there's so many different ways that it does come back, and it comes full circle, and it's so rewarding.
So many ways. And this is, but you have to mean it, right? You have to go into these things to offer help, to be of value to people, and you have to mean that. Because if you come in just with like, "All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to do this post for that person because it looks like they got money. And I'm going to do this post for this person, but I'm going to blow everybody up. I'm going to be rude to that person over here." And that doesn't work. That has to be your actual modus operandi. You have to be the person who adds the value.
And I'll tell you something that gives me even more energy, because as much as it seems, and like having multiple podcasts and putting out there, I'm actually not an extrovert. But you become, like, in certain situations, you come out because it is authentic conversation, and you do become alive during that. But I have absolutely loved being a connector, and I kind of always have been, but through this and being more intentional. Like I just shot someone a message who reached out to me. She's like, "Oh, do you know XYZ type of people in LA?" And I'm like, "Not yet. There's someone who's been sitting on the sidelines." And I literally just had a newsletter pop in my inbox from two people in the Bay Area who are doing the thing. And the person in LA just joined up with them. So I reached back out to my LA friend. I'm like, okay, she took the leap. She's doing it now. So now I need to connect you guys. And there's just been so many cool things where you're able to connect people. And it's like, no, I don't get anything out of it except like it puts a smile on my face to go, awesome. Now you two can go do something awesome together. And, karma has a great way of working. And, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or maybe never do I see it. But I think the more good energy and the more good we can just put in the world in general, we could use a lot more of that.
Fair. But let's talk about, there's one more thing about community that I want to get to before we talk about how you get yourself into it. It's like, okay, I'm sold. I want to do it. Seems kind of awkward. Well, we'll get to that. We'll address that. One of the things that I think that is the most significant difference, we've talked about a little bit, between a paid community and a free community, is your opportunity to ask for correction. If you say, hey, I got a thing under contract and this is what's happening, what do I do? When you have opened that up to everyone with a keyboard, you are going to get people who have opinions but not help. Okay.
And just go on the Bigger Pockets forums. You will get plenty of opinions.
I wasn't going to name names here, but there we go. It's fair. I think everyone could fill that blank in.
It's a very helpful platform, but yes, you will get pooped on a lot, depending on your question.
Yeah. You just have to know that and realize this is just someone with a keyboard and a lot of spare time. And so just kind of keep that in mind. There's a saying that we go by here. I wouldn't take criticism from someone I wouldn't take advice from. So keep that in mind. But in a community where you know and trust the people, it's important to ask for help and criticism. That's one of the biggest values right there. Like, hey, I'm about to do this. I'm considering this. What do y'all think? You will get good input. You've got to be open to it. You've got to be like, okay, I might learn something that I didn't know before, and that might make me feel uncomfortable. That might make me feel nervous, but you got to push through that, because that social anxiety can kill you, stunt your growth, or stop it. And so just be willing to put yourself out there, because at most it's going to be somebody's like, haha, you don't know that? That's ridiculous. Everybody knows that. Okay, that's a little bit of a hit to your ego and you could feel bad, but actually that says something about the commenter. That says a lot about the commenter, and move on. So as we get to building community, as we want to do the first call, the first DM, the first I think they're into this space, but I don't know, it seems so awkward. How do we do that? How many people, Kristi, die annually from embarrassment asking for connection?
Well, the stats were last year. 0 people died from sending a DM.
But the way we act, you'd think that the stats were pretty tragic, wouldn't you? You'd think that there would be, instead of Shark Week, there would be Ask a Person to Coffee Week. It's like, God, that's so scary, right? I mean, we make fun of it, we laugh about it, but it's real. Okay, you have that anxiety, it's nervous, it feels awkward, but you know what? Go ahead and do it. Everybody in that community at some point was the new person in the community. Everybody. Some people remember it more than others, but sometimes.
And I think to the people who are in a community longer, and it doesn't matter what kind it is, but when someone new does come in, be the person who helps take some of the awkwardness away. Maybe be the first person to bring them in and invite them to something so they can get to know people a little bit more, because you once were that new person, and you'll be that new person in a new group at some point. So I would encourage you to take that step when new people do come in.
Yeah, that's we tell our kids that in school, right? When they start school, be nice to the new kids. If somebody transferred into your school, be the one who's nice to them. You don't have to be best friends.
Right.
You don't have to be best friends forever, but be nice. That works in a group too. So how you've got 3 paths to new people. Tell me about that, Kristi. What is that?
I mean, I think it would be sports. Sports is a good way. So I challenge myself to do different things. So like I had mentioned, once a month I have a reminder come up on my computer, and it says, "Are you getting too comfortable?" And so that then forces me to do something outside of my comfort zone. So I definitely leverage sports, and whether it's switching different arenas or picking up a new one at all, as a way to get to know people. Also just being more intentional. So I am in the real estate space. So being more intentional about finding people who are in my area who are doing similar things and grabbing a coffee. It's like 2 weeks ago, I think I had two separate. I met up with one contractor for lunch who lives in the same area, and another one I had coffee with. And it was just nice to meet other people in the industry doing what we were already doing. And then I also personally leverage travel and to strategically plan whether it's a trip and then we invite someone new who might not be as close of a friend to come along, or to just as I'm moving about the country to put myself in new situations where I'm just automatically going to meet more people. And whether it's, going to a meetup that's in that city I'm passing through, or playing volleyball in a different one. So just it all goes back to being super intentional about what you're doing. And knowing that you can always go, okay, I'll go back to my core people, but sometimes you learn some really cool stuff the more you put yourself out there.
Absolutely. And I love it that you're intentional about that. I mean, you even programmed it in to remind you to try and do something new. It's interesting. I was reading about a study on aging and time, the speed of time, and why that seems to be that as people age, time seems to go faster. Their theory was, and I can't prove or disprove it, is that as we get older, we get into our routine, we get into our rut, and that we don't have new and novel things. And so what's to remember? Essentially, yesterday was just like the day before that, which was just like the day before that, was just like last week.
And if
And
nothing
then
differentiates each day, of course it's going to feel like it all ran together.
there you go, because there's nothing to remember. There's nothing to stimulate your brain. Like, oh, that's new, that's different. Oh, I'm watching this. And when you're young, everything is new. You're trying to figure out everything on the fly. And this is important. This idea of change and growth. As studies have shown that if you change virtually anything in your environment, it stimulates productivity. Change the paint, the color of the walls, put up new artwork, put a plant in there, rearrange the furniture, make your desk face the window and turn it away from the window. Whatever it is, it's so silly. Our brains can be prodded to action and productivity by very little, but it needs to be intentional. Be intentional, do something different, go out and meet people. Now, we've got community. We're in it. We've decided to take the group. Is this a forever deal? Like, it's just like, oh, you signed up, you paid the dues once, you're in forever? Or is there, I just saw this title of the book yesterday, Necessary Endings.
Yeah.
That sometimes there's a season for the thing that you do. We learn from it. As a friend of mine said last night on a community, shall we say, we're on a Zoom call together, people from all over the country. And he said, some relationships are meant to be short. And that's okay. Like, they don't all have to last. So if you get into a community and you've given it time, okay, you've honestly given it time and you've put in energy and effort, because I see people who do this. They're like, well, I went to that meeting and nobody was nice to me. And I could look and say, well, and also you didn't go up to anyone and you had your hands in the pockets and you left before it was over. So
you walked in just as it was starting. You walked out just as it was ending, and you didn't say hi or associate with anyone. Yeah, okay, I get you.
Yeah, so let's just be real about that, right? So sometimes you're part of a group, a community, and it's done what it was there to do for you. And I would offer this to you, exit gracefully, right?
Yeah.
When it's time to go, you don't have to go, well, I'm past all you suckers, or you did me wrong. I can't believe that you guys did the blah, blah, blah. Well, watch me. I'm out of here. There's a word that's called flouncing for how you exit. It's not impressive, okay, to anyone. But when it's time to go, let your friends know, hey, you know what? I'm on to the next thing. I don't want to lose touch with you. I want to make sure that I've got your contact information, and let's do this. I'm in touch with a ton of people in communities that I was involved in, and still in touch with them. Not everyone, of course, but the people that I really connected with, I'm still in touch with. And so I would say when you're done with the group, exit gracefully, right? So that's an important one.
That's a big one. And everything does have an ending, even the best things. Even if say you're in a relationship and you're married forever, one of you is going to die first. Everything has an ending. So just being real with that and just being grateful for the time it did have, the purpose it did serve in your life, because it did serve a purpose. You joined for a reason. Something was that catalyst for you to take action, because most people won't take action. So you took action, and just, being grateful for what came of that. And I've exited several things recently because it served that purpose in my life. But we've talked about this a lot. Like, we're constantly learning and growing and evolving. And by doing so, it means you're going to move into different rooms. You're going to move into different circles of people. And the people maybe you spent a lot more time with previously, you still connect with, you just spend less time with them now. And that's just the season and the phase of life that it is.
Absolutely. So we want to encourage you to get in community. This is important too. I want to put this out there as an idea. There was somebody that I had seen a post in a particular market, and they were like, "Oh, we're having this get together of real estate people," and I was like, "Man, that would be awesome. I would love to get invited to that." And I'm not going to get invited to that for a number of reasons. Graphically is probably first and foremost among them. But then this thought occurred to me. Well, wait a minute. Why don't I be the one that invites people? And so my wife and I got together and we called a local shop, kind of a interesting crossover kind of bar, kind of coffee bar, kind of restaurant, but it was trying to find its feet, right? So had a lot of space and availability. We said, "Hey, could we have a meetup here?" And so we invited people to the table, right? So if you're not getting invited to the table, you know what? You can find a table, put it out there, and invite other people. So that's
and
in
I
your
guarantee
power.
you,
You
when you
choose.
do that and you start inviting people to the table, all of a sudden they're going to start inviting people to their table. And now you have literally just happened. Someone said, "I love that you've been hosting that and they're hosting this." And they're like, "Our place is too small, but we could host this over here." And it's really cool to see how it all evolves over time. And it starts with saying yes. It starts with sending the text message. It starts with going, yes, people could say no, and that's okay. I'm not going to die from someone saying no or from someone ignoring me. But we could also have an amazing time and build even deeper relationships and do awesome things. And that's what you're leaving on the table by being too scared to get a no.
Yeah. And we talk about that in real estate all the time is your opportunity cost. It's like, well, I could just keep that money in my pocket, but what opportunities am I losing by doing that? And by not getting involved in community, whether it's a large community or small community, free community or paid community, or a mix of any of those things, you are sacrificing years and I'm going to say tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime and career if you are not part of some community. And you'll eventually get so deep in your rut you won't be able to see what's coming next.
And I'll throw in some soft skills: joy, happiness, gratitude, fulfillment, purpose. You're leaving all of that on the table. Just so maybe
we're
consider
here
dipping your toe in.
Yeah, that's right. We are here. And because this is not endorsed by anyone, at least not yet, hey, you can always hit us up and, buy an ad. But this isn't pitching any particular group. It's not telling you what to do. It's not advice for you to do that. Well, no, I'm going to give you advice, and that is to find a group. What group? I don't know. That's on you. You got to vet that whole thing and put that together. But this is one of the rare shows where we end it without the typical, we're not your financial advisor, blah, 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 which we're not. But we're going to advise you to join a group, join community. If you can't find one, you're not looking hard enough because it's out there, right? There are still people collecting Beanie Babies. And if that's a thing, you can find your people. All right. Kristi, you want to take us out?
If you have enjoyed this podcast, and we have thoroughly enjoyed being your host, if you could like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, it helps get the message out there. It helps other people feel comfortable in taking action and doing some moves. So you can find us, The Real Estate Pessimist, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and we'll see you next time.